Okay, so we know that these are triads. We know the diatonic chord progression. We know all that stuff. What happens when we add more octaves to our triads? And specifically what I'm talking about here is an octave that's already in the triad. For example, C, E, G. What if I add another C on top here? Right? What do we call that? Because triads mean there's 3 notes. And now we've got 4. We still call it a triad. In fact, we still call it a major triad in this case because this is a major triad. That extra note doesn't change anything. It makes it sound a little fuller, but we still only have 3 notes. If we go all the way back to the first class I made on music theory, we talked about pitch classes. If you didn't see that, review it. But basically what that means is that what we care about in triads are 3 different notes, is a way to think about it that way. So as long as we're not adding a new note, it's still a triad. So we could even do this. Now I've got 5 notes, right? But nope, I really only have 3 different pitch classes is what we call it. But we have C, E, and a G, and then another C and another E. There's only 3 different notes there, right? So, and we can do that all day long. We can keep going. Now I've got a triad here and a triad here, but it's the same triad. It's just a nice big sound. I could even go down. Right, now I've got, let's even go down farther. There we go. Now I've got 3 different triads stacked on top of each other. They're all the same. Still a triad, a single major triad. So we still call this giant thing a C major, because if we went through and analyzed this and we threw out all of the octaves, we would end up with just the notes C, E, and G. So just to reiterate on that, that only works if we're adding an octave that's already in the triad. We can't add an octave from another triad into a new triad. That makes a new chord, right? Can't do that. But you'd be surprised at what we can do with octaves. Let me get rid of this silly chord here. Okay, watch this. Let's try to make a little melody out of this boring diatonic chord progression, just going up to scale. But watch what I can do. So let's take a G and put it up there, right? G is in the chord, it's right here, so I didn't add any new notes. Now let's find a note that'll work well after this G. Here's an F. So put an F there. I have an E, because this is an E minor chord, so it works quite well. There's an E. Let's see now. F, A, C. I could go back up to an F. G, B, D. Go back up to a G. A, C, E. I could go down to an E, but that's not going to really add anything. Let's jump up to a C, maybe. B, D, F. Let's go down to a B. And then a C. So now we've got something that looks like there's this other line in here, but there's no notes that are outside of the chords. Right? I've just used octaves. Let's hear this. Maybe we should slow that down a little bit. Okay, here that is again a little bit slower. Right? So we can add octaves and kind of make things feel like they're moving in different directions a little bit, right? This is just all these chords going up by themselves, but when we add these other notes, it can feel like the chords are not necessarily just moving up or moving down in different ways. And that is why I think it's especially worthwhile to mention how a guitar works. So I want to look at that in the next video, and let's just go to it right now. But it has to do with this. So keep this in your head because we're going to be talking about octaves.